What's up, everyone? So today's video is going to be on sexuality. What is sexuality? Is it just what am I attracted to, or what my anatomy is? And before you think this is a video about gender or anything like that, it's not. It's, I do spiritual topics. I don't focus on these sort of, I don't know, kind of mental impositions by society. But sexuality is, I'm talking mainly about sexual energy, okay? That is sexuality. I mean, it's been bashed upon throughout time, by religion, and we've been forced to neglect it, to feel guilty about it, shameful. It's a mental programming, definitely an area that has a lot of mental programming around. Okay, so I'd like to share my insights on it, my perspective. Sexuality is usually, or it's a form of connecting with another person, right? So it's best done, usually, when you're seeking a connection with another person, okay? So if you're looking for a hookup, if you're just seeking to conquer the other person and say, yes, I did it, I had sex with this person, I feel accomplished, right? That is a negatively polarizing act, because you had no intention of sharing anything or satisfying the other person in any way. Therefore, you were only worried about yourself. It was a service to yourself and what you could do for the ego. And that actually polarized you negatively. And actually, the more and more you do that, the more you want to do that, and the less fulfilled you feel along the way. And there's so many movies about this even too, or so many examples, especially for men, but it's even more damaging for women, because they are more emotionally driven, and this could definitely impact their emotions on a deeper level if you're constantly seeking that fulfillment outside of yourself. But when you are making an effort to connect with the person, when you have established a heart connection with that specific person, and now you are ready to fully unite physically, energetically, mentally, emotionally. These are all different bodies. You have the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and then the astral / etheric body, which is outside of this physical reality, but you're still in charge and will still connect during sex. Okay, so when you have this sexual union, all these bodies merge, and their energies, their mental either stability or instability, their emotions transfer to you. And if you are at a higher vibrational level than them, you will meet them halfway. So you will raise them and they will lower you. If you're lower, they will raise you and you will lower them. And you can tell whether this has had an impact on you based on how you feel afterwards. If you feel energetically drained, you've come lower. If you feel energized, they brought you higher. They felt better than you, and you gave them all your problems, basically. You're like, here you go, you can feel this, not me. So that can also be negatively polarizing, if you're doing that unconsciously, right? If they're not in acceptance of that, because it is a violation of their free will, really. Okay, so that's why it is very important to be aware of your sexual partners, and what they're going through, and having established a connection and knowing more about them. Because if they're in a low vibrational state, you're gonna take all that. And I started becoming more aware of this myself after even experiencing it myself, and being much more careful with who I engage with, because I didn't want any of that energy. I went through my own stuff, and then I elevated myself to such a high point that I'm like, whoa, if I have sex with this person, it's gonna bring me down, whether I want it or not. Okay, so that's why it's very, very important, very vital to be aware of what that person's going through, and that this will happen if you actually try to engage with the person, try to connect to the person before just having sex, right? I mean, that's why it's not recommended to have sex on the first date, because you still don't know the person. You don't know what they could be going through. They might not have told you everything. So it's just something to be cautious of, be wary of. Okay, so now I'm not saying that these types of things aren't possible with polygamy, okay? But when we engage in polygamy, it is basically a spiritual bypassing, right? It's a form of avoiding ourselves and avoiding connecting with the other person, because that would mean revealing who we are so that we can just move on to another partner whenever we want to, right? So whenever a challenge may come up, or whenever our partner may start questioning us, we can just completely avoid it, and it doesn't matter to us whether they leave or not, because we got multiple other partners that we can just go do our thing with and completely avoid ourselves, right? Now, if you truly have multiple heart-to-heart connections with more than one person, this can still work out for you, because you are giving yourself and serving those others by connecting with yourself and connecting with them, and you're fully engaged with those people in an effort to satisfy them on all levels. Okay, so that is what is positively polarizing, because you are not worried about satisfying yourself as much as you are filled with love and a desire to be in union with them, to connect with them, and really take care of them in all ways that they may need. Okay, so this brings me to the domination and being dominated dynamic, because if you are doing this unconsciously, if you don't know, but you know you like to be dominated, right? Let's say, or you know you like to dominate, but you don't really know why, and you tell the person these are the things you like, but you don't care much about the other person, right? So essentially, you're using that person to fulfill your own desires. Now, if you truly have a heart-to-heart connection, and you know this is a healing that you need to perform inside of you, and you are both in acceptance of that, and you help each other heal, that is actually positively polarizing. What I'm speaking of is an unconscious sexual act in which you're using each other without any accord for the other person, right? So that's negatively polarizing, because it is also a form of conquering them or using them. So it's against their free will, in this example. But like I said, that is rooted in trauma. Okay, it's rooted in a sexual repression and expressed in that form. So it's something that you still need to heal, okay? But it can be done if you are with the right person. Just be careful, though, that once that dynamic is healed, you may or may not be attracted to that person anymore, because they gave you what you needed, and you gave them what they needed. But now it's healed, so now you're left with the actual soul and the connection. And if that's not there, then the attraction will dissipate. Okay, so there's there's a right way, in quotations, to be and to perform the sexual act, to have sex. Okay, and this will leave you both sexually or energized. And that's all about working with the energies that you give each other. Okay, so when you're in union, and I'm still working on this myself. I'm still trying to develop it myself, so I can't say that I'm in any way a master. But there are many people, and there's other information all over the internet on tantric sex, and this works with the energy. So it's more than just, you know, the lustful and general sexual act where you're just doing it for your own orgasm. This will create a sense of in-body orgasms like females already have, and you'll be able to have multiple of these in which you energize both of your bodies because you're sharing the energy. You're moving it back and forth through each body, so it becomes a sort of battery, a self-powered battery, continuously energizing itself with your shared energies of love, right? So you can both feel it, you come in union, you sit there and you just calibrate each other's breaths. So you basically align your breaths and breathe at the same time, inhale and exhale, in which the energy starts moving and circulating through both your bodies. And there's many different, you know, positions and all types of stuff, and more information on that. I'm not gonna share that here, and I don't really know much about that, to be honest. But I do know this, that once the energy starts moving within you, the male will more than likely begin having multiple orgasms, and then the sex actually is more fulfilling, lasts longer, and it's better for both people. And then it'll leave you both energized afterwards. So really look into that. It's an interesting topic, and sexuality is actually one with spirituality, right? So there's nothing shameful about it. It's not meant purely for procreation. It's not you just have sex once or twice or whatever, whenever you want to have kids, and that's it. It is meant to truly connect you to your higher selves. It's a spiritual connection that becomes established during that, and you both help each other connect to your higher selves, which is in turn positively polarizing for your soul. Now, when I say positively and negatively polarizing, I didn't explain this. I mean, here it's a kind of playground in which you choose between negative and positive. This is described more in the Law of One. And basically, when you do things for yourself and you set out to conquer other people and not respect their free will and not act from a place of love and perpetuate fear and things like that, that puts you on a negative timeline. Your soul becomes more negatively polarized to ascend into a negative fourth density. But that is actually quite hard. You need to achieve 95% polarization, whereas for the positive ascension, the positive fourth density, you only need to achieve a 51% polarization. But that's another topic, a very interesting topic, albeit, and that is discussed in the Law of One, the raw material. And actually, Aaron Abke has a YouTube channel on this, and you can check that out, and it's very interesting as well. But yeah, the sexuality, the sex will connect you to your higher self if performed correctly, because it is a spiritual union. And that's why I've always sought soul connections, because they are soulmates, and you know, the highest soulmate is your twin flame, and these unions are much more harmonized, much easier to achieve, and you know, it's the connection is greater, right? So really look into these sort of things. This has been kind of like a foundational thing for you to start building upon. But I hope you gain some insights about sexuality. There's nothing to be shameful about, nothing to be guilty about. It's simply something to become aware about. Okay, take care.